So back to that, I was going to ask a question about, raise your hand if you have ever been intrigued by storytelling of some kind. Most definitely. Even if it was watching a movie, an advert, there was an element of storytelling in there. Now raise your hand again if you are looking forward to using storytelling to boost your business and brand. Come on, I want all the hands up. You know the reason why? We had Leila on earlier and she was telling you that what you say is what happens, right? You're manifesting what you say. So you have to be with it, guys, yeah? We're all in it together, yes? Okay, great. So we believe and we know that you're in your business because you are wired for success. Is there anybody here that believes otherwise? Because then I would be saying you're in the wrong room. Because James is about success. And so as electricians, you're wired for success. But one of the things that we realize, and Leila mentioned it before, James has mentioned it, about the credibility, about having trust with your clients, about winning clients, and about powering up your pipeline, because inevitably that's what you're looking to do. And so when you think about your pipeline, you're thinking about not just new clients, but you're also thinking about clients that have already worked with you, because you also want to keep them on as loyal clients. So by the end of this talk, you will know what to post, because we're talking about social media, how to tell your story authentically, how to turn jobs into content, because I know you may be saying, well, Michelle, storytelling and wires don't go together. But there is a way that they can. And also how to attract trust before you be even given a quote. And funny enough, Leila mentioned that earlier as well. So where are you now? So maybe where you are is not necessarily where you want to be with your business. And that's the reason why we're all here. We're working towards what we want. We're not officially there as yet, right? So maybe it's that you're walking in, and a few of you asked this question actually. You're going in and instead of getting a tip, you're being asked to bring your price down. Now, I'm sure you don't want to go into a room for a client and that's what you're going to want to hear, because you want to be paid what you're valued. You want to be paid what you're worth. You know the service that you're delivering. You know the risks that you're taking. You know the time and the effort it has taken for you to get to where you are in your electrician business. You didn't just wake up one night and say, boom, I'm an electrician. You put the work in, right? You have to study. And sometimes, unfortunately, it can become frustrating. And it becomes frustrating because to people, you're just going in boxes and playing with wires, but you're not. You've had to put years of experience into this. And so you want to get paid what you want. Maybe you're like this gentleman right here. And I know I've heard somebody else mention it earlier about being frustrated when you have to go home, do the videos, think about social media, do the posts, and you're like, what have I really got myself into here? I signed up to be an electrician, not a content creator. But as we know, these are the other elements that comes with getting the job done. It comes with getting your clients in the door, because I know you want to focus solely on what it is that you were trained for. But the truth of the matter is there's a service that you're providing to clients, and you need to get those clients in order to do the service. It's a bit like when they say, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Obviously, yes, you have the service, but you need the clients to serve in order for that service to happen. And so you need to do what it takes. And it can be frustrating. And maybe, just maybe, you're looking out the window and saying, oh, God, I wish those around me could just jump in. I don't know about you, but I have a daughter. She's 24 years old. Don't ask me how I am. I'm 16. I have a daughter that's 24 years old. And at the age of 24, she is absolutely brilliant with social media. She would do everybody else's social media. But I'm like this guy right now, looking through the window and saying, I wish my kids could just jump in and just do this for me. Because she would do it for everybody else, but just not for me. Can't get her to do the work for me, right? And some of you may be able to resonate with this. And maybe as well, it's that you're looking through the window because you're getting to see your wife, your husband, having a whale of a time, and you're indoors feeling like, I want to join them and watch a movie, but I have that video that I need to post because I said I was going to do it 2 weeks ago and I've not done it. I need to do it today. And maybe, just maybe, you're like him. You've gone in, and the job that you actually enjoy doing, tried to make a play on the words there, but it didn't work. You once enjoyed doing, you now feel like you're enduring it. Because there's just so much to juggle. There's so much to juggle. And you once felt very happy doing this thing. But what if you're not here? Where do you want to be instead? Ask the person sitting beside you, where do you want to be instead? Yeah. I love that. He didn't even bother go to asking the question. He just answered it. I love it. He just went straight to the point. Maybe where you want to be is that you're not the only person in the team, where you can get to focus on doing what it is that you really love doing, where you don't have to necessarily be thinking about how do I constantly have to keep attracting clients instead of having clients look for you. Maybe it is that you want to build a team, so you want to take the time out to train more people within the business. But because you're having to do the admin and you're having to think about ads and you're having to think about all these different things, you're not getting the chance to focus on doing what you want to do. And that can become a relief, a breathing space for you, because now you're enjoying your business. You're enjoying your business. And what does enjoying your business also look like? It looks like you having that light bulb moment. The light's now on. You're no longer in darkness. And what do I mean by this? I mean the fact that you now have an understanding of the tools that you need to use. Because for me, when I started out, I got frustrated about all these different social media platforms, the LinkedIns, the Instagram, which one works, Facebook, which one to navigate. But now you see the light. Now you know where your clients are showing up and you know exactly how to attract them. And so now it's not a question for you. Now you're able to enjoy time with family, enjoy time with friends, and get your children to do what you want them to do. Yeah. And maybe you're like him. Now, I don't know about you. Yeah, time out. Being able to actually enjoy the money that you're working for, right? Because it's one thing to work, but it's another thing to be able to enjoy what you're actually working for. And so what does that look like? That looks like systems working. That looks like other people manning the ship so the business is not solely reliant on you. Now, tell me that that's not bliss. I wouldn't be here people saying they're tired, right? The truth is, yes, we still have to put the work in. I'm not here to tell you that you're not going to need to put the work in. But what I'm saying is there's things that you can apply that will help make the journey a whole lot easier. And so how are you going to get there? If that's where you were and this is where you desire to be, the question is, how are you going to get there? I believe you can get there. One of the ways that you can get there is by utilizing storytelling that sparks sales. And yes, I had to make a play on the words as well. That sparks sales. And as you can see, SPARKS is an acronym, and we're going to get to that in a moment. Now, what do I mean when I say using storytelling or utilizing storytelling to spark sales as an electrician? I'm talking about turning your everyday jobs into storytelling. Simple human stories that builds trust, even before the client looks for a quote from you. And we're going to get to how you're going to do that shortly, right? But why is this important? It's important because when a client is looking for you, are they going to bed and saying, I just can't wait to pay for rewiring of my house? I don't think so. They said, oh, I just can't wait to pay for my EPC. No. They're paying for peace of mind. They are paying for safety. They're paying for somebody or a service that they believe and know that they can trust. And a good way of showcasing this is by utilizing storytelling. One of the things that we recognize with storytelling, or what I've recognized over the period of time that I've been doing storytelling and using it to help and assist entrepreneurs, is that storytelling highlights a problem, the action that is taken, the result that the client wants to get, which then also is added to human impact. So the story that you tell can decide whether somebody wants to listen to more of what you have to say, and also if they desire to go the next stage with you, which is to hire you. So that then means inevitably it brings in more business and more money. So tell me, storytelling, I want you to repeat after me, storytelling can bring more business, which means more money. So, just to let you know, I already alerted you to the fact that I am Jamaican. That means I talk a lot. That means I'm very irie. And I don't know if James has told you, but I love interaction. And I'm going to have you speaking back to me whether you like it or not. So I'm just going to keep that very real right now. And of course, as you can see already, I'm going to make you laugh. Right. One of the researches that was done when looking at how customers look for people that serve them or looks for people that work in various different trades. One of the things that we realize is that the pre-hiring research behavior, this is what it came to. Before they do anything, the first thing that a customer does, 80% of customers check online first before they do anything else. Forget about the yellow pages. I don't even remember what that looks like, right? But the first thing that they do when they're looking for a service is that they firstly go online. Only 20% of individuals do not check online first. And it may be because they've maybe either worked with you already or they're looking for referrals or they know a family member or a friend that knows a friend or a neighbor, right? Now we look at the customer decision factor, and this is where we're really going. So keep this in mind. The first thing that they do is go online. The second thing is that the second decision factor for them is, can I trust this individual or not? So now we have 70% of customers that they make their decision based on whether or not they can trust the person that is going to do the work or the job. Only 30% of individuals didn't have trust as a decision driver. So remember, they're going online first, and then they also want to be able to know if they can trust you. So if we combine that together, then we're looking at people that are focusing on online trust. Now, the only way that they can get that online trust is by seeing what you're posting, by hearing what you're putting out there, and that can make them come to the decision as to, one, did I find this person? Were they visible? A bit of what Leela mentioned earlier. Are they visible? That's number one. And number two, based on the visibility, can I trust them enough to do the work for me? The next question you may be asking is, so, Michelle, why now? Why is it now that James has decided to get you in here to speak to us about storytelling? Why now? Well, here's the truth. The old way of handing out business cards just doesn't work anymore. In fact, I would say to you, don't make any more business cards. And it was proven to me last week. Now, last week, I was cleaning up my office at the back of my house, and I decided to go through an old cabinet that was there, and I pulled out quite a few stuff. And when I pulled them out, there was a little folder, I opened it, and it was tons of business cards. I hadn't seen these business cards for the past, I think before COVID, before 2020. I've never seen these business cards. And you know what made me laugh was the fact that I went through those business cards, and at some point I needed the service of some of those people. But the truth of the matter is I did exactly what everybody else did. I went online first. I didn't remember anything about the business cards in the office. And that's the truth of the matter. You hand your business cards out, and the chances are they're going to go into the back pocket, get washed in the washing machine. Or they're going to end up in the bin. Or if the person is like me, they're going to end up in a little wallet somewhere in the office only to be found 10 years later, right? When your service is no longer required. The next thing, why being your online presence and what you post online is so important. When you look at the local searches that is dominating trade hiring, it's searches like electricians near me, emergency electrician, fuse box upgrade. Now, they're not just going to those searches anymore. Now they're searching, they're checking profiles, they're checking posts, they're checking to see if this person has a social media, and they want to see what has been said, what you have said, or what somebody else has said about you. And the truth is, now, let me ask you a question. Raise your hand if when you go onto Google search and you've typed in a search that you go to the third or fourth page of the results. I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Majority of people either stop at the first or the second page of the result. So you're going to be saying, okay, great. So what do I need to do to keep being able to come up? And so for some people, it's about YouTube videos. It's about your social media posts. It's about whether you have, one of the things that I do as well with entrepreneurs is help them to write books. So all of these different things that you need to look at and say, how is it that I can utilize what I have And if you notice, I'm saying what you have, because when I show you some stuff, you'll realize that you do have a lot that you can utilize for storytelling. Because maybe in your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to have to reinvent the wheel. No, you're not. Every single day that you go out and do a job, you're actually building a story. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another reason why now is because I'm sure you would agree with me that we are inundated with social media, inundated with emails, TikTok, Twitter. Oh no, it's not Twitter anymore. X. I don't know which letter in the alphabet is going to be next. Maybe Y, right? I'm not sure, but we are inundated. And so now is a time where you have to do something to stand out from amongst the crowd. Now is a time where you need to create your own unique selling point, and you come up with the decision of why is it that somebody would want to choose me over the next Bob the Builder down the road, right? So you may be saying, who is Michelle Watson? Apart from maybe about 2 or 3 people in this room, nobody knows who I am. And you may be saying, well, she's not an electrician, so who is she to come and speak to me about storytelling for electricians? What does she know? I never used to be an electrician. I actually used to be a train driver for the Victoria Line. So I don't know, has anybody driven on the Victoria Line before? Yeah? You've been on it?
Yeah, but I haven't driven it.
You know, possibly I could have been your driver. You never know. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, thank you very much. But yes, I used to be a driver in the Victoria Line. So how does it that somebody gets from being a train driver on the Victoria Line to doing what you're doing now? I did that for 10 years. So before I get to that though, raise your hand if you've ever been on a night out. Okay. I was wondering if anybody in here was going to lie. I was going to say, James, lock the door and wait for them to tell the truth. And raise your hand again if that night out somehow turned into the morning after. Good. And in fact, say, oi, oi. Oi, oi. You know, I love you. We're going to talk after. I love you. The majority of the people in this room are men, and you're still letting the voice of a woman dominate the room. What's going on?
All habits die hard.
I don't have no idea. Right? But I'm sure that some of you may be thinking, boy, did she have a glass of wine down there or something, or one too many? Because she seems like she's a bit. But I guess that's why they say you should never ever judge a book by its cover. But that you should take the time to stop, open that book, turn the pages and read. It's a warm night of July 2004, and I'm standing in my small magnolia painted bathroom. On the left is a toilet. Somebody said, ooh, about the bathroom. There's a small toilet on the left and a white porcelain bath on the right, and immediately in front of me, below a window that I've always thought to be too big of a window for a bathroom, is the face basin. That distinct smell of bleach was playing havoc on my nostrils. I've always loved cleaning with bleach. Just a pity that it cannot wash away the muck that is happening in my life right now. God, I'm standing with my back pressed firmly against the white door. Can you hear him? I can hear him. I know he's standing out there. I know he's out there just waiting for me to exit so that he can pounce. Oh God, why did I allow myself to be here once again? How could I afford to be in this position once again? Oh God, and my friend Nikki, she told me, but I just didn't listen. Michelle, how long are you going to continue to allow this to happen? How long are you going to continue to allow yourself to be somebody else's beating post? You refuse to tell your family, you refuse to tell your friends, and all you do every day is get up and write away in the book, write away in this journal, as if you can write away what's happening in your life. Michelle, if you don't get a hold of this, it won't be a journal that is written into. It will be your eulogy that we're writing. I know she was right. But you see, my friend Nikki should also understand. Nikki is one of those friends that tells it like it is. She's Jamaican. She looks a bit like me. She drops it like an egg and doesn't care where it splats or who it splats on. But I know she's right. You see, I just wanted one night, just one night. I thought I could sneak out and get back in before he would even realize that I was gone. But unfortunately, I've come back. It seems as if I've entered the ring with Muhammad Ali, with my bruises stinging like a bee. I can't continue to do this. How do I open my mouth and explain to somebody that I'm being used for somebody's beating post? Being hit, kicked, being spat on. Where do I even find the words to tell my family and friends? I don't want to be a divorcee in my early 20s. The shame, the disgrace that I'm going to have to bear. It's a bit like that character, Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? Character with the split personality. How does one's eyes that used to look at you with so much love and compassion now look at you with so much hate? How does hands that once touched you and made you come alive now inflict so much pain? And how do words that used to make you come alive now make you feel as if you're the scum of the earth? Definitely a Mr. Jekyll and Hyde. But I can't do this. I can't continue doing this. I can't continue living like this. If I don't make a change for myself, I need to at least make it for my children. What if he decides to take the children? I can't stay here. Have you ever had a time in your life when you had to make a big decision? Well, you see, for me, I made a big decision that night. And the decision wasn't just to exit the bathroom. I made the decision to exit the marriage. And I would love to tell you that it was all fun and games, but it was not. Because you would see me going from one family member's house to a friend's house to another. It's a bit like that game that we play. Snakes and ladders. You know, we shake the dice, we get the big number. Sometimes we've even climbed the ladder. We're laughing at everybody else because we've gone ahead of the game. But then to land on the mouth of a snake. And then you come trickling all the way down back to the very beginning. Because a few months later, you would see me stepping into yet another small room. I know there's something about me and these small rooms. Only this one is not a bathroom. It's a white room, windows going along the right. And on the left, there's a desk and a chair. And there he is, tall, dark, and handsome. He could be a basketball player if it wasn't for the big goggles perched on the edge of his nose that made him look a bit like a geek. Ah, Michelle. Do come in. Michelle, I can see here from your notes that you've been through a very traumatic ordeal. Do you mind telling me a bit more about exactly what it is that you've experienced? Well, you see, they think I'm going mad. They think I'm losing my mind, but I know that I'm not losing my mind. I know that he's following me. He's following me everywhere that I go. I left my house, and when I came back, all my clothes was cut to pieces. I know he's following me because I went to my friend's house, and when I came back, all my tires were punctured. And that's not a coincidence. I know he's following me because I left my house, and when I came back, my purse was gone. And they're telling me that I'm the one that's losing my mind, but I know I'm not losing my mind. I know I'm not the one that's going mad. The police, they can't seem to help me. Every time when they come, Mrs. Clark, I'm afraid there's nothing much we can do for you at the moment because his fingerprints are already all over the house because he used to live here. So I'm afraid at the moment it's a bit of a he said, she said matter until we have solid proof. A bit of a he said, she said matter. She's telling me that she's afraid. I'm the one that is afraid. I'm the one that can't sleep at night. I'm the one that is waking up and finding him standing over me, and she's telling me that she's afraid. So, Michelle, is this the reason why you attempted to take your own life? I didn't want to do it. How could I have wanted to do that? How could I have wanted to leave my children? Santana at the time, she was 4. And my son, Rashawn, 2. I just wanted the pain to stop. I just wanted it to end. And at the time, that's all I could think about. That's the only solution that I could find. And then the counselor said something to me on that day that really made a change for me. Michelle, this is not the end. You still have the ability to turn a new chapter. You still have the ability to turn a new leaf. Is that even possible for me? And so years later, you would see me stepping into, and no, it's not another room, not another small room. You would have seen me stepping into my power because I realized that I tried to fake a smile for so long, I didn't even remember what smiling was like. And that's me on the Victoria line. And then one day I got up and I went to this event, the Pursuit of Wealth and Happiness. And I started hearing and learning more about personal development. And so I started going out and reading some books that maybe you have read and listening to speakers, great speakers like Lisa Nichols and Jim Rohn. I started learning about how to win friends and influence people. I started reading books like Who Moved My Cheese? And then I started to get the true understanding and identify who Michelle truly was. And so I signed up to become a coach in the coaching at the Master Coach Academy. Some of you may have heard about it, and get my certification in coaching. But the truth of the matter was, nobody knew me. For 10 years, I was sitting in the dark driving a train. But I thought, yep, get the certification, and girl, you can go out there and do it. You know, as you go to many events and they tell you, go, you can do it. And you go home wondering to yourself, what is it? Well, that's the position I was in, right? And I realized that I needed to do something else. And so I came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea. You know, we all have them. But then you have these ideas and then you have the naysayers, right? Sometimes the naysayer is our very own self. And so I had the brilliant idea that I was going to write a book. You go from attempting suicide to driving a train to deciding that you're going to write a book. That math doesn't math up, so don't ask me the equation of that because it doesn't make sense. But I decided to write this book. And I did go ahead and write the book, despite the naysaying. Because a lot of the naysaying was, Michelle, girl, you have the idea to write a book? And I'm not calling him a girl, by the way, so please don't try and tease him after. Girl, you decide to write a book? You attempted suicide, parenting children with special needs. Who is going to read your book? Michelle, which book are you planning to write? Is it a notebook where the lines are empty and people are going to write in it what they're going to read? So Michelle, because you've passed the master coach now, you think you're J.K. Rowling now, huh? But you know what? Sometimes in life you have to make the decision to do something for you, regardless of what society or what people say. Because that book that I wrote didn't just get published, it became a bestseller. I went on to write 2 more books. All whilst being a train driver, I started the business on the side, and little by little, people were getting to know me. I was going to events. By this time, I think, I had met James and Leela, because I had signed up to the Professional Speakers Academy, and I had a gift and a talent that I didn't even recognize that I had. One, to be able to speak. I've gone on and written more books that also became bestsellers. I've spoken on various stages and received a commendation from the late Her Majesty the Queen. And the stages grew. And the storytelling became more and more popular, I should say. And I realized that there's actually something in this storytelling, because this is what I was doing different. I wasn't bringing nothing new to the table. There was already coaches out there. There was already mentors out there doing what I do. But there was something that I was doing slightly different. I was using storytelling as the tool to get myself recognized and known. And so that's the reason why I'm sharing this, because I'm just sharing with you the power of storytelling. Before coming, I was thinking, should I even really be sharing my story? Electricians don't want to hear about your story. But what I wanted to show was how you can Tell the story about yourself and do it differently from just narrating it. And that is where the power is. And I've gone on to share this tool with many individuals and organizations, and it's led me to speaking alongside many individuals. I've spoken on Sky TV, written articles for magazines, including the Harvard Business Review, and I've gone on to win numerous awards: 7-Figure of the Year, Female Speaker of the Year, Best Value Business Speaker of the Year, and Most Engaging Speaker. But what we need to realize is that the decisions that we choose to make, you know, when Lila was saying before that sometimes even when you don't feel like doing it, you just have to do it. It's because we have that recognition of the fact that what we have is not just only about us. And that is when it becomes important. It's about you, your business, the reason why you started the business, and also the clients that you're looking to serve. And why do I say that? Because the step that I took allowed my youngest daughter to decide that she wanted to do the same. And at the age of 6, she wrote her first book and won a Global Authors Award for it as well. Oh, thank you. Right? And I've gone on to do many things in the areas of where my heart is, in the areas of giving back. And I love nothing more than helping other people to showcase their stories and use their stories as a tool to get them onto platforms and get their business out there and in the front of their ideal clients. So, great. You've heard a bit about storytelling. You've heard a bit about me, the person standing here, and why you should listen to me, why I know anything about storytelling. So now let's go into the deep aspects of what I'm here to talk about. So if you're taking notes, you can go ahead and write SPARKS down the left side of your page or wherever that is most suitable or comfortable for you, because we're going to dive into what is the sparks. What is the sparks that Michelle is speaking about? And do that whilst I take a sip, because my tongue is now sticking to the top of my mouth. Great. So, if you were thinking about my story a while ago, just maybe 2 people from each side, the ones that weren't sleeping. This will make us prove if people were sleeping. What stood out, or what do you take away, or what can you remember based on my story? Something, it could be any part of it, even if it's just a part of bleach.
You described, like I felt like I was there in the bathroom.
Good, very, very good. You've picked up on an ideal point. With storytelling, the beauty of storytelling, different from narration, is the fact that you're allowing your reader, or because a lot of people think that storytelling is just about dramatization. Yes, I was dramatizing it there because I'm doing it in front of you. But if I was writing, I would be writing with the same art, if we want to use that word. Because you want the reader to feel as if they are there with you. And so that's a very, very good point. Somebody else had their hand up. Yeah.
Where you were describing either talking to like the counsellor or the police officer,
Mhm.
taking the life,
Yeah.
visualise if you were, I don't know, sat in that third chair
Yeah.
across the table.
Yeah, very good. So that as well. So this comes in when it comes to being descriptive, describing the surrounding, describing what is happening around you. Good, very good point, because I'm going to mention that a bit later. He said, where I've come from to where I am now. This side, you've done, I'm going to see if you're going to be my side for the rest of the evening. You've done brilliantly. Over here. Sorry? Emotion. Beautiful, a very good one. Emotion, you definitely weren't sleeping. Thank you. Was everybody else over here sleeping? Mm-hmm. The success, good, thank you. That's like a testimony, a testimonial of your growth and where you've got to and how you've got there. I'm going to come back to my powerhouse side in a minute. Just one more moment. I want to get one more from here. Sincerity. Great. Thank you. I love that, because then there you're talking about feeling, and the feeling that you're drumming up also in your clients. So I love that.
You've got like the hero story of like the trials and tribulations, and then
Good.
they come out.
Lovely. It's like a woe to win, right? It's like a woe to win. So what you have to remember with the story, when your client has a problem, they're exactly there. They're in a woe. Whatever it is, my light's gone. They're in a woe. They want to see light. And so now they will have a win when what's happened. So if you have a client and they're in the woe, they're here, the light's gone, power's down. They've tried everything. They've tried the fuse box. Nothing's happening. They're in a state of panic. The steak was in the oven, or the meat was in the oven. Everything stopped. Washing is in the washing machine. My child's uniform is in there and she needs it for school tomorrow. They're in a woe. Over there is the win. What needs to happen for them to get to that place of win? You signaled it, but come, I want to hear it. Full view. So, yes, the solution, but who is the solution? Yes, you're the solution. And that's what you have to remember. So when you're obviously telling your story, when you're doing your content, yes, some of it is a woe to win. Your client is in a place of woe. They want to get into a place of win, and the person that is going to get them there is you, the solution. And so you can, one of the things that happens on LinkedIn, for those of you that use LinkedIn, you would realize that some people, they're not very good at selling. And the reason, I'm not a great seller, by the way, right? But what they do just literally turns you off. You open your LinkedIn messages and straight away, oh, I do so and so and so. Could we have a chat so I can see how I can serve you? No, I'm not interested. Even if what they have, you actually like it, you just get turned off because of the way that they approach it. Why am I saying that? You can say the same thing that another electrician says, but they will stop and look at yours because it's been done differently. And that is what you want to do with your storytelling. Now, why skill no longer wins? I realize that this bracelet is causing some noise to happen in the background, so I'm going to take this off. Right? Why skill alone no longer wins? Because people don't go out there and necessarily search for who is the best electrician in my area. Not even I can remember doing that. Because when they want a service, they want to just get it done quickly. And so what they do is they go with the person that's the most visible electrician, not necessarily the best. And so you may be saying, but I'm better than that electrician. Like you go out and you hear some stories sometimes and you're wondering, how did they get this client? And then you're having to come in and mop up the spill and you're wondering, why didn't they find me first? Because possibly that person was more visible, right? There was something that person did. Because I'm sure you would agree with me, I came up with this. I'm just good at doing this. A hidden fuse box works. A hidden fuse works, but nobody benefits if it's not connected. Yeah? A hidden fuse works, but nobody benefits if it's not connected. What do I mean when I say that? You are brilliant at what you do. In fact, not being prideful, you could say you're one of the best at what you do. But the truth is, if you're hidden, the person that needs you can't make use of you because they can't find you. I call it something along the lines of a candy store or a sweet shop that no child knows exists. You could have the best sweets in there, but if they don't know that you exist, they're not going to get it, right? And so the first letter that you have in the Sparks is S. Show. Show the story, not just the service. Show the story, not just the service. Don't only post, oh, here is the latest or newest consumer unit upgrade. No, they don't want to hear that. They don't even know what that does. They have no clue. What you then want to do is post why. Why is this now a new upgrade? What is it? Oh, maybe it is that my client was experiencing a lot of outages, or thinking about mine, the lights kept chipping down, and then realized that they were still using the old fuse box. Or for somebody like me, I didn't even know when the law changed when you needed to get that new one put in. I had no clue. But it's completely different from going on social media and saying, guys, new policy has come out, you all need a new fuse box, and it costs £2,000, but I'm doing it for £1,500. I'm not interested in hearing that. Because, okay, you're doing a discount, but you're still telling me I need to spend money, but you've not really relayed to me what's the relevance and the importance of it. Now, what would be different? Make it memorable. State what the risk is. What is the risk of you still having that old fuse box in your house? Then what you would do in that story is also tell them what it's going to cost them if they don't get it changed. Because what we have to recognize when we're doing storytelling, we have to do what is called the NDP. The NDP is the need, highlighting the needs, desires, and pain points of your clients. The needs, desires, and pain points. What do they need? What is it that they're experiencing? What is the pain that they're experiencing? What is it that they need? Because that's how you can now provide what it is that they need. And what type of service does this individual need? Right? And you put that in the post. It's very easy. I don't even know what my time is. Somebody let me know, because I could speak for England. I could speak for the next 3 hours. So if they want to leave the floor for me, that's fine. I don't mind. Right? And so you have to recognize that storytelling, it sparks connection. It makes people decide to start listening to you. Because you could be an electrician, somebody's not even looking for an electrician, but just based on your story, even you put in a bit of humor, they start paying attention to you, even before they've even needed your service. Then what happens? When they do finally need your service, guess what? You're so memorable to them, they're not even going to go and search for an electrician. They're going to come and look for you. Because they've already started building a connection with you even before they needed your service. And that's what you want to build. You want to build a relationship. Gone are the days when electricians don't need to have a relationship with clients anymore. But you need to now. That is the society that we're in. People don't trust anything at the minute. Because my husband doesn't trust anything on anybody anyhow. He's just real. He just does not, right? And so he's asking the millions of questions before you are doing anything in his house, right? And I get it, because we've had experiences. And based on that, you're going to be coming across a lot of those people. And the way that you're going to get through to them is by sharing story. People don't buy wires, sockets, and circuit boards. They buy peace of mind. They have no clue what a circuit board. I know about fuse box because the fuse has flowed down a few times, so I know it's called a fuse box. But I have no idea what the wires are in there. Some are blue, red, black. I don't have no clue. So I'm not buying that. If you come to me, you tell me buy a fuse box, I'm buying it because you're telling me the reason why I need it, right? And so you have to always think about your clients in the same way when you're writing your content. Everybody's job has a story. Do you want me to prove it to you? Who did a job by any chance last week? Who did a job? Great, everyone. I want to hear your voice. You're sitting in the front. I've not heard your voice. Tell me about that. What was it?
What about one of the jobs I've done?
One of the jobs, yeah. See, even one of them, he's done tons.
I went and put a socket for
Okay, right, great. I like that. But now if you were going to put it on social media, tell me what you would have possibly seen. You don't have to give me perfect, but. By the way, let me ask you a different question. Do you believe there's a story in that?
Yeah, my experience with it was a story. Their experience with me coming over was a story. Is a story.
Mm-hmm.
So, they found my details online. They hadn't met me. I hadn't met them. I went over there. They were welcoming me into their home.
Very good.
They were friendly with me. I was friendly back with them. It was a positive experience.
Okay. Okay, good. Nice, positive experience. Okay, if they didn't change that socket, what would happen?
They would have got someone else. Oh, sorry.
I can't understand. You're already handing your service to another person. Yeah, I didn't realize I had my phone in my pocket all along. But yeah, so what could have happened to them or to their house or to what was the problem that they had with that socket not working?
No, they wanted an additional socket so they could move their tumble dryer into another room.
Okay, great. So you were providing a service that would provide comfort for them, especially being an elderly couple.
Yes.
That's a story. That's a story, right? You know, and I'm just going to waffle this off of my head, so it's not going to be perfect. You know, today I had the pleasure of not just providing service in one way. This is the reason why I absolutely love what I do. I was able to go in and help an elderly couple. And now, as we know, for elderly couple in the UK at this moment, it's very hard because they don't know who to open their doors to or who to trust. So as an electrician, you need to make sure that you're providing credibility that will allow elderly couples to trust you. But what was such a joyful moment for me, it wasn't even about getting paid. It was about the fact that I was able to provide a service that would make things more comfortable for them, because they wanted their dryer moved to a place where they wouldn't have to walk too far in order for them. Do you see where I'm coming from? You're building a story. Now, when you're doing that, somebody's hearing heart. They're now hearing an electrician that actually cares about the elderly. They're hearing an electrician that cares about how the client feels, the service that he's providing to the client, also the credibility of trust, the fact that you went into an elderly person's home, so there's that element of trust there, right? That's the difference with the story. That's the big difference between saying, I went and put in a socket today in an elderly couple's home so that they could have an additional dryer. Doesn't tell the full story. That's only a part of the story. There's a deeper meaning to that which you've provided. That's the reason why I say every job has a story. Every job has a story. So start looking at your job as a story. When you share the story behind the job, you turn technical work into relatable human impact. That is what the difference is. Human, relatable impact. James said something earlier, and he was talking, when he was talking about your pricing. Pricing comes from a place of value and a place of worth, realizing what it is that you have to offer. And you have to come to the realization that you have so much more to offer than other people and other electricians. What do I mean? We know that there are cowboy builders out there. If I was to ask each and every one of you, how many of you have gone into a house where you've been told a story where somebody was either ripped off, or you went in and you can see that there was a botched job done and you're going to have to correct it? Raise your hand. Look around the room. Now, this is what makes you stand out. That is what makes you different. And if you've not stopped to think about it, now is the time for you to stop and think about it. To actually look at what you're doing and what you're delivering from a place of pride. And I don't even know why I'm mentioning this. I had no plans of mentioning this. I was born here, but I grew up in Jamaica from the age of 3. And whilst growing up in Jamaica, I lost 7 cousins. 1 fire. The oldest in that fire was 10. And this is why I'm saying to you, I don't even know if this is the reason why I was brought to this room. I have no idea. To even just share this. And that was down to bad wiring by an electrician. 6 children, they were buried in 1 coffin. So do not underestimate what it is that you do, because it can be a difference between life and death. And so when you recognize what you do, the value of what you do, you will realize that you're more open to sharing about the beauty of what you do a lot more, because you're actually, without realizing it, saving lives. The more you remain invisible, the more you remain quiet, it's the louder cowboy builders or cowboy electricians get. Because they know they can't do the work, they shout the loudest. You know they say empty barrels makes the most noise? It's not a joke. They know that they don't have the experience, and so they shout loudly to try and get clients. But then the people that can actually deliver healthy and safe service remain quiet. So that onus is on you, because I'm not an electrician. I would be a cowgirl electrician. Like, keeping it very real. I would be telling them, please get like at least 3 insurances, because I know that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So I want you to quickly do something. I want you to share, and wow, it ties in beautifully with here, and I didn't even plan that. Share with the person beside you, why did you decide to become an electrician? Few minutes. Tell the person, why did you decide to become an electrician? Okay, good. Back in the room? Okay, great. Back in the room. Is there anyone that heard something about the person sitting beside them that they either didn't know, that they found funny, that they found interesting? Anyone? Anything that you heard from the person's story of why they became an electrician or their worst story? Anyone that wants to share? Look at you all go quiet now. Anyone? Right. Sorry? Was somebody saying something? No? Okay. Fair. You don't want to share it with me. It's okay. You guys are just being selfish right now, but it's all right. I was planning to buy you all a pint of lager later, but it's okay. It's okay. But what I want to show you is that you just told a story. You might not have done it in the way like, okay, you would put it on here, on social media, but you've told a story. That's a part of your story. So for instance, if you have your website and you have not, on the About section, shared that deep inner story about why you started doing what you do, that's the biggest area of trust. That's the biggest area of trust. Them hearing the heart of why you do what you want to do. They don't want to hear that you just did it because you wanted to make money, because the moment that no money is coming in, that means you're not going to care about your job. But at the very get-go of you starting this journey, there was a reason why you wanted to do what you wanted to do. So if you're thinking about implementing storytelling within your posts, this is one of the great areas. Why did I start doing what I am doing now? Why did I start doing it? Really sharing it. And for those of you that may be saying, okay, but writing is not necessarily my forte, you could do what you literally just did a while ago. You know, we have this little thing called the smartphone. You know, there's a little button on there that can press record, and then you can get it transcribed and edited. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to know how to do everything. There is shortcuts around stuff. So you may be thinking, oh, but this is too much for me. Stick to what it is that you do good. Bring the money in and then pay somebody else to do it. It's as simple as that. You could just talk out that story of why you came to do what you did. What was your first job memory? I know for some of you that might be a brain fog because of age and all of that. Just saying. I was talking about James. He knew it was him. See, he opened his mouth. So it wasn't none of you here. It was James. Right? What's the worst job disaster that you've experienced? You know, tell the story about a house that you've gone into and you've seen the cowboy job that another electrician did. And you're saying to your clients, be mindful of these things. Now they're seeing you as that go-to person because you may have just saved them a lot of money. Because by seeing that story that you have posted, they're now knowing what to look out for. And so that's what I mean when I'm saying every job that you do is actually a story. Every single job that you do is a story. It's just about the way that you tell it. What was the customer's reaction after you delivered a good service? Even the testimonial is a story. You can get the testimonial from a client, paste that testimonial, and then share how you feel about the testimonial. Now, some of you may be saying, but I don't want to come across as a soft, getting all mushy because of a testimonial. If mushy brings in the money, then get mushy. Right? Yeah. If mushy brings in the money, get mushy. Like, yeah, if cheesy, you know what I'm saying? Anything. Yeah? All right? Because people, again, I'm reiterating this, people don't buy cables, sockets, or panels. They're buying safety, reliability, rescue, and problem solved. That's what they're buying. And we have to remember that. So if we're looking at a story framework, these are some of the things that I highlighted that you can read that can really help you to craft your stories. When you go out on a job on a day, you can turn out, okay, what was the problem? What was it that went wrong? Yeah, if you want to take a picture of it so it's easier for you, just take a picture, right? What was wrong? What was the problem that they were experiencing when I went there, right? What could happen? If I didn't go in and fix this problem, what could go wrong? The house could burn down. It could affect other parts in the building. What was the risk? What could happen? Because somebody might be having a symptom of that problem right now and they don't know. And because of what you've posted, they're getting in touch because they're like, oh my God, I saw that story that you posted. I'm having that same experience right now. Would you be able to give me a quote for my job? Right? Then action. What is it that you did? What did you do? And I'm not saying to go in fine detail. It could be that obviously you had to replace but this part of it shows your authority in the field. It shows that you know what you're talking about. What you did demonstrates your professionalism. What you did demonstrates you as the electrician that knows what you're doing. What was the result? What changed for the client? And what was the peace of mind? What was the relief? And that is also grabbing the testimonials. And again, you could just be outlaying this information and then just relaying it to somebody else for them to get it done, right? So you don't have to think that you're always the person that has to do it. The P in the sparks is you want to prove professionalism. In storytelling, you need to prove your professionalism. You need to show up as the trusted choice. If you remember the research that I showed you before, the two things that makes clients make a decision and when they're booking an electrician or a tradesperson is one, the first place they go is online. Two, can I trust this person? And so if one of the highest things that makes a client decide to work with you is trust, you need to be looking at the things that I'm putting out there. How can I get them to trust me based on what I'm putting out there? Every post, every social media, on your website. If you go on your website, look at it from the eyes or the views of a client and say, if I went on this website, would I trust this electrician? And don't be biased and say yes because you know it's you. I'm saying be honest. What have I said on there that would make me trust me? And so you want to post tidy work. So when you're thinking about storytelling, think about images as well. What are some of the images, the before and the after? The chaos and the peace of mind that you've now delivered, right? Just simple, it could just be just asking the client, oh, I'm not taking a picture of your house or anything or putting you in the picture. Is it okay for me just to take a before and after picture because I'm using it to promote my business? I don't see why not. They're more worried about the job getting done. Nothing in the picture is going to show their house or show what it is, right? I've put certificates there because you do, very rarely you get people ask for it, but some people do still, right? Punctuality. You know, people pay more for being safe and somebody that's reliable. And so when you're doing your story, that's what you want to make sure. Put visuals in your story as well, right? And don't just go on ChatGPT and download pictures because some of these pictures, people can tell the difference. They can tell the difference. The other day I saw a picture, and the picture, when you look closely, the person has how many different fingers? And they're not even the same color. And I'm like, yeah, like, come on, guys. Like, even if you're going to use ChatGPT, scrutinize the image, right? So learn about turning this job into a story. Raise your hand if you've ever replaced a fuse box. somebody's side. You have, right? At some point you've replaced a few bucks. And to you, you're thinking that's a boring story. But as we spoke about earlier, it's not a boring story if you're highlighting to the client the dangers of how it could cost them if they don't replace it, if it needs replacing. And you could do that easily in a story. Problem, risk. So I want you to remember it. Don't just take a picture of it. Problem, risk, action, result. That's important. The problem, the risk, the action, the result, and the customer's peace of mind, right? So these are some questions that you can use to write your stories. Who was the customer? You know, just like the gentleman mentioned before about the elderly couple, right? You don't have to know their names. The fact that they're elderly shows that he dealt with vulnerable people. That's a tick for trust. What problem existed? The problem is something that another client may be experiencing. What risk was present? The truth of the matter is 9 out of 10 of your clients don't have a clue of the seriousness of the risk that they're presented with. They have no clue. This is where you come in, right? If you can't even remember all of your stories, if you went into Google, they have also, they have a tool. I haven't used it in the longest while, so I don't know if it's still free. I don't know, Leila or James, if you've ever still used it. Answerthepublic.com.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah, still do. Answerthepublic.com. You go on there. It can tell you a lot of questions people ask about electricians on Google. A lot of questions. Answer those questions, but don't just go on there and say, yeah, you can change a fuse box, or you can do. Tell a story. Tell a story based on your experience or something that's happened with you. The A, so we've done the S, which is show the story. We've done the P, which is about professionalism. Let your story come across professional, right? And that means credibility. That means authority, right? Now it's about answer. And it ties in with what I just mentioned, right? Answer the questions clients are thinking. You've had so many questions. You've gone into a house and you've had tons of questions. You're bombarded by questions. These people are not numpties. They just don't know anything about electrics, right? It's the same for me. I just don't know anything about electrics. So if you step into my house, yes, I may seem confident on stage talking about storytelling, but if it came to electrics, I'm a numpty. I know nothing about it, right? So the numpties like myself, what questions would I be asking you? Is it urgent? Right? So let's say you've done a job, and the job that you've done, it was something that needed to be urgently done because then it could bring a massive risk. For instance, landlords making sure that they get their certificates done. Yes, it's urgent. Because if something goes wrong, okay. Make a story about landlords. Make a story about landlords. Is my house safe? No! Okay, what are some of the reasons that could cause a house not to be safe? Somebody tell me.
No RCD protection.
Okay, great. I'm not going to try to repeat that because I don't know anything you said. Right? Over this side. I'm going to... No earthy. Okay, great. Do you see what I'm saying with numpty? I've heard that before, but I have no clue what it is. Right? But, so imagine now you're going to go on storytelling and you're going to go on, let's say, social media. And you're going to put about, literally, that would be the hook. Is my house safe? I know for a fact that if I saw a post with that hook, I'm going to stop and I'm going to read it. Because I live somewhere, so I want to know, what does this relate to? Is my house safe? And then he comes on, then he's saying something about earthing. Okay, great. I'm going to look further because I don't know what that is, so I need to get the information. And you could tell a story about a time when you had to go and deal with a situation like that. Now, you have just taught me something. Not only have you taught me something, you've just secured me as a client because I'm saying this guy knows what he's talking about. So if I have an electrical problem, I know who I'm going to. And that's the truth of it. So just by your storytelling, people will have clarity. They will have clarity. And that will move away any hesitation. You remember James was talking about the fact that you go in and people are asking for discounts. They have no time. I get it that some people are just, do I say that? That some people are just cheapskates and they just want anything that you give for free. I get it. But you do have some people that what it is for them, they have a question mark beside you to say whether or not you are a premium service individual or not. Because the truth is, the same price that they're telling you to come down on, if they heard that that person serviced Buckingham Palace, they're not going to tell them to come down on the price. Let's be very real. They have a question mark beside the trust or the credibility or as to whether or not you're doing a good job. And so straight away, is that the best price, boss? Yes, it's the best price because I know the service that I'm delivering, right? And so it's really about putting the stories in a way that makes you fall into that category, because then it will boost inquiries. People will want to know more about you, yeah? Now, when I say write down, what do I mean? Write down, have a little notebook. I'm not expecting you to, well, you don't even have to have a notebook. Notebooks is for the people like me. I love notebooks and pens, like they're just all over my house, right? But you have your phone. Just drop one line. You don't even have to type it, you can just say it. Let's say you had 5 jobs for the day. Literally, just voice note quickly what that job was. I'm not saying that you have to go into detail, just what that job was. So that whenever you do need information or content, you might not remember stuff that you've covered, but you could just go back and say, oh yeah, I dealt with this. Now that I'm getting you guys to stop and think about it, you're now remembering some jobs that maybe you didn't even think about for a long time. What was the worst job you ever did? Somebody, one from this side and one from my right, one from my left. A slaughterhouse. Okay, great. Do you see already, we've even got humor in that. It's the worst story, but we've got humor in that, right? I could just imagine already, if I told you to tell that story, how hilarious possibly be. Well, it might not feel hilarious for you. Are you traumatized by it? No, still? Okay, good. See? So there's a humor that can come out from that story. Somebody from this side, what's the worst story? Oh my God, what's happening here? So, note to electricians, write it down. Don't go to slaughterhouses or anything to do with animals or pigs. Well, pigs, animals, yeah? Because it seems to be the worst stories. But what was your best story? Somebody else. What was your best job that you could think about? But before I get to that, when was the last time you thought about that? Just now. Yeah, but before just now, when was the last? When I done it. Yeah, exactly. And how long ago was that, maybe? 15 years. Do you see what I'm talking about? So you guys have so much story, but because you've never thought of how you could actually utilize them. But if James was to have one evening where he says, all of you come in and all you're going to be doing is literally talking and sharing stories of your experiences, you would be amazed at the stuff that you would be hearing. You'd be laughing, chatting. I don't think none of you are going to cry, but maybe at the time. But you'd be laughing, chatting. And when I'm saying this, it's not even just about the job. It could be about your business as well. Because I'm sure some of you may have some stories where you've been ripped off. You've had some stories where you've lost money. Because here's the thing. Sometimes people, for some reason, they think that sharing the downfalls is not professional. That's a myth. It's a misconception that I think is absolute and utter rubbish. Because if I'm going to work with someone, I want to know that the individual I'm working with is human. And if you are human and if you are alive, that means at some point in your life you had a difficult time to deal with. If you didn't, I don't want to work with you because something's wrong with you. If you've gone through the whole of life, I would be asking you, are you 1 day old? And even the 1 day old baby came out crying. Something, do you get where I'm coming from? So don't let people tell you that sharing this stuff is not professional. It is. It shows that you are human. It shows that you're somebody that I can trust. Because you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Write them down. Record them if needs be. Even when you leave from here this evening, if you remember any, just jot a note. Just one key word that will help you to remember that story that you experienced. It's very important. You never know when you're going to need it. Yeah? So when we look at the business story model, because I love books, I said chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, right? But I really mean month 1, month 2, month 3. But I see you can look at it as chapters. Now, to help you with this, when it comes to social media or it comes to posting, what you can do is have each month showcasing one specific area of your business. For instance, all your posts from month 1 could be all around your journey. You could go back as far as when you were learning the trade. That's how far back you can go. When you were learning the trade. Because that's the journey. Somebody can actually trace your journey from your get-go. That builds credibility and it builds authority. Because they now know that you didn't just pop up on the scene as an electrician. It makes a big difference. Because if somebody's showing me that they've been doing this journey and they've learned, or they went to school and studied, or they went and did apprenticeship, or they did something to learn, it will make me feel comfortable to work with that person, even if they just started their business day 1, than somebody that's been doing it for 10 years, but they've not gone through the process of learning how to do it. So people want to know why they can trust you. That's one of the reasons. Another reason, another chapter or another month, it could be about your work. Actively creating content around your work. What it is that you're going out and doing on a daily basis. Story journeying what a day looks like. The day in a life of an electrician. You never know, that day may put off another electrician. And they'll just pack up the business and you'll have the client for yourself. Right? A day in the life of an electrician, right? Showcase your work. Then now, the next month, you're going to be writing about your customers. The best customer you ever had. The worst customer you ever had. The most exciting customer you ever had. Right? And so those are the various things that you're going to look at. The next one is month 4 could be all around your expertise. What are the things you love doing the most? What are some things you love doing the most? All right, I want you to be very honest. What is the worst? What is the job that you hate the most? One, huh? Pat testing. Oh, wow. Everybody said that, pat tested. Oh, wow. You see, that's what I'm saying. I'm asked to get pat tested, and to me, I'm thinking they're just doing their job. They're just happy to do it. I didn't know it was one of the. Now I know it's one of the worst. So now I'll make sure that when the electrician comes around and he's doing a pat test, I'll make him a cup of tea. Right? And your values. Your values are also important. Your values are very, very important. Because it shows who you are away from even being an electrician. People buy into values. I don't know about nobody else, but I buy into values. What are some of the things that you value? Have a month when you're posting about that. Have a month when, if you're a father, talking about yourself as being a father. So they're seeing you're a human being. They're seeing that, you know what, there's a different side to you that is open, that I can trust, that I can warm to. As an electrician, it also helps to hold your current clients as well. So if you have clients that you do emails, you send out emails to, this is beautiful for that. Absolutely beautiful for that, right? The R is reveal. We're coming down, so we've done S, which is show the results. We've done P, which is the professionalism, right? We're coming down. And now it's about the R, reveal your results. And I think I spoke about this before, so I don't have to go into it too much. The before and after story, just like when I did my story and I talked about the woe to win. That's the before and after. And the beauty with the before and after, because it allows you to show a clear contrast. Can't see it?
Sorry.
I need an electrician to shed some light. But yeah, reveal the results. When you got there, what was the problem? When you left, what was the difference? That showcases you as a solution solver. When you got there, what was the problem? You're leaving so much of your story on the table. So much. You go, you do a job, because you're so used to doing it. Now you just go, you just do it, and you leave. Not realizing that that very thing could bring in more business. You go, you do it, you leave. That thing could bring in more business. That client is not the only client that has that very problem. Yeah? So posting it also makes somebody else remember. Some landlords, they don't set up systems to remind them that EPCs are running out. They need to get electrical certificates, right? Them seeing it helps them to remember what it is. Reveal results of happy clients, right? Reveal compliance done right as opposed to compliance done wrong, right? So now, I told you guys are going to be speaking to me for the whole night, so nobody's not going to be sleeping. So I'm watching eyes. So if you're sleeping, I'm going to pick on you, right? I want somebody to share with me a point in time where they went to someone's house and something was done incorrectly and you had to go and rectify it or correct it and done it right.
Someone put the incorrect fuse size and then an appliance burnt out sort of thing.
Okay. What could go wrong with that situation?
Worst case scenario, potentially a fire. Or like obviously the cost of replacing the actual unit itself, which doesn't need to happen.
Okay, great. So the worst thing that could happen is literally a fire. So now, what did you do with that story?
I actually did write a little, probably not as detailed as it should have been, but just like a little couple of sentences as to how we picked it up, like what was the original call, now we've replaced it, it's all safe sort of thing. But
Okay,
it
good.
wasn't that detailed.
Yeah. So make it a bit detailed. And when I say detail, guys, it doesn't have to be like tons of words, but what you want to do is make sure that the key elements are in there. And the key elements being the problem, the risk, the action you took, the result, and how the client felt afterwards. So you could say the review. Raise your hand if you are very diligent in taking testimonials. Taking reviews. Maybe I used the wrong word. Hey!
Yeah,
Define diligent. It means, okay, let me change, let me change the diligent then. How intentional are you about taking reviews? Okay, I tone it down a bit, okay. About, yeah?
Nurture reviews out of people, because on every invoice we put, a link to do a review.
Yeah.
But then after they might send a quick email saying we've paid, and then I go, oh, thank you so much, or when I've noticed they've paid, and then I go, please, we really hope you're happy with the work, or it's great you're happy with the work. Please write a review. Here's the link.
And then do they? Sometimes. Yeah. So reviews is, as we know, it's a weighty game sometimes, because sometimes you put a review, you've done a brilliant job, and they say they're going to give you a review, and then they don't. It's just empty promises, right? Different ways that you can do it. You could offer something. You give me a review, something. I don't know how pricey you look at a review to be, but maybe there's something that you could give off. I don't know if 5%, something. Encourage them to give that review, right? Obviously, depending on how long they're going to write the review, if you have a system that they can literally just scan it and give it to you then and there before you leave, that could come in very handy just the same. You won't know unless you ask. Yeah, go ahead.
It's quite strange how sometimes something can be really dangerous, and like someone's not put a brand new board on, and they're not tied it up properly,
Yeah.
and it causes a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times it can be like someone's created something that to create a fire, and it's been there for 30 years, and
Wow.
it hasn't. And when you put stuff on that's a bit scary or pointing out the risks, people think that you're just scaring people.
So here's the thing. You could do it subtly, and that's the thing with the words. And in honesty, I'm going to be very honest. And it's the truth. And if I'm lying, stone me. Whether we like it or not, we have sensitive people to deal with. You're going to have to be a bit of a marmite. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to like what you're going to post. What I do say that if what you're saying is the truth, then stick by it. If you're going to have to scare somebody for them to be safe, sometimes I have to scare my children in order for me to keep them safe. Doesn't make me a bad mother. It just makes me a mother that's going to go to the lengths to make sure you're doing what you're doing and you don't lie. Right, so my daughter yesterday, my eldest daughter and my youngest daughter, they always take the mick out of me because they compare. They do the woe and the win, like what I did differently years ago from what I did now. And I remember with my oldest daughter, I had shared with her a story, and it's a serious story. It's what I saw for myself. A girl from my school, she went away with a boyfriend. They got late, and the boyfriend was bringing her back. And because he was rushing to bring her back before her mom came to pick her up, he ended up crashing. She died. Right? And when I told my daughter this story, I said to her, if you want to go somewhere, ask me. You're going to get one or two answers. You're either going to get yes or you're going to get no. I'm not going to tell you no all the while, but unless you ask me, you won't know which one you're going to get. I would prefer for you to ask me than you to be put in a situation like that that's going to take your life. So she was sharing it with my youngest daughter yesterday and saying, I'm sharing this with you because this is what mom shared with me that scared me into telling her everything. So I'm telling you now, right? But it enabled me and my daughters to have a very open relationship. Very, very open relationship. So I don't regret scaring her with that story. Got to be very honest. I don't regret scaring her with that story because it was done from a place of love. But I do get what you're saying. You're not looking to scare clients away, but you have to also be very real with them. So it might just be very real with them, but choosing the way that you say it. So you're saying it subtly. You're saying it in a client-friendly way, right? So you use softening phrases. Maybe, potentially. This could potentially lead to a fire, right? It's different. It's far different from saying you're going to get your house burnt down, right? It's completely different. It could potentially lead to a fire. So you've told the truth, but you've used what we call softening phrases. So maybe, potentially, perhaps, these are softening phrases, right? So this is something that you can utilize to then do it. So potentially, it could lead to your house burning down, right? Instead of saying, this will lead to you having a fire and losing your home. So you use what's called softening phrases, yeah? So this is what I meant when I was saying before and after. You know, maybe showing panel A, what that did, and even share about the history of it, like back in the day, like the benefits of it then. And what's the difference between the one now? Because I did that with my electrician. When he came and he said to me, oh, they're not using these type of fuse blocks. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, it's working perfectly fine. There's light in my house. Like, I'm being very honest. Because I didn't understand. I'm saying to him, but it works perfectly fine. Why do I need to spend how much grants to change it? Then he explained to me because I don't know. And when he explained to me, I said, okay, yeah, you know, go ahead. So there's still a lot of people out there. And I literally had no clue, right? And so just going on and sharing an explanation around this, that's a story, right? So when you talk about the trust ladder, we look at the fact like this. You're going to increase awareness with stories. People will learn from that insight. They will learn from the stories. They will learn. So within the story, you're sharing helpful insights. You're sharing tips, right? Then, by you sharing those, your client then can relate to you. Because then it allows real customer experiences to come out. Real customers are looking for real customer experiences. When they go on Trustpilot, they're looking for a customer's experience. They're not looking for your experience. So that's the truth that you have to realize. When they go on Trustpilot, when they go on Checker Trader, when I'm looking for somebody on Checker Trader, I'm looking at the experience that somebody had. That in itself is telling a story. Yeah? It builds credibility and social proof, and it will prompt your clients to call you instead of you having to seek them. Right? Because when people get to the top of that ladder, that's where they're going to call you. You may have somebody following you for a while without you knowing. Sometimes we're saying, oh, but nobody's liked my post. You would be surprised. They've not liked the post, but they've read the post. Yeah? I think I heard somebody say this earlier today. I'm not good on camera. Customers want real. They don't want polished. Unfortunately, we want perfection. We all do. I was that person. Oh my God, I needed to have the right lighting. I needed to make sure that spot wasn't showing in the back. They weren't looking at none of that. They weren't looking at none of that. They were listening. They wanted to know. And yes, you're going to get the one and few haters that's going to come and say something negative. You're not there for them. So don't even be bothered about that. You're there for the people that are interested in you, right? And so no, people are looking for authentic. They're not looking for perfect. I call perfection the permanent pause. Perfection is the permanent pause because you're not going to get to perfection. If you're like me, there's going to always be something that you're not happy with. Always. Something that you're not happy with. I wasn't happy with my hair today because the curls weren't setting the way that I wanted them to set. Let's keep it real. I came, I went in the bathroom, I was still using water to wet it for it to set the way that you wanted to set. Did anybody look at my hair and said her curls weren't set the way it was supposed to be set? If I didn't just tell you a while ago, you wouldn't know anything about it. Maybe you're seeing a few things sticking out now because I've told you, right? You've been more interested in what I've been saying. So I could have had the slickest hair. If I came up here and I was chatting rubbish, you all would have been sleeping now instead of laughing. And it's the same thing with your videos. It's the same thing with your posts. Yes, you may post and it may have a letter or a word spelled incorrectly. Did they get the meaning behind the post? If yes, then you've done your job. I'm not saying don't try to improve on what you're doing. That's not what I'm saying at all. Yes, make the effort to improve on what you're doing. But what I'm saying, don't let that stop you because a post imperfectly shared but still brings a client is better than a post that is perfectly shared and doesn't bring a client. And that's what you have to remember. They want authentic. So when they see you on the job doing, guys, do you realize for some of your videos, you don't even have to talk? Have you stopped and thought about that? Tell me who stopped and thought about that. Huh? Time that could save. Have you actually stopped and thought about the fact that you don't actually have to talk on your video? Anybody wants to know what I mean? Can you do storytelling without speaking? Yes, you can. Can you do storytelling with videos? Yes, you can. You could literally do a video of you doing the work, right? You're doing a video, little clip of the before, a little clip of the after, put that video together, and literally all you would do is put a text overlay over it. And you've not opened your mouth and said a word. That's a story. How many of you have watched Mr. Bean before? Okay, and you've watched Mr. Bean for a very long time, and Mr. Bean he's not said nothing. The man has not spoken. But you watched it because you were able to see the story. So storytelling doesn't always require you to have to necessarily speak. Yes, do you capture the audience more when you speak? Yes, because there may be some people that are not visual. And that's the only difference. Some people are not necessarily visual, and so you want to be mindful that you're trying to get to all of your clients, right? And so that's what you want to do. Storytelling is not necessarily always have to be visual. It can also be audible. So I don't like the sound of my voice. Okay, leave your voice. You can use text over your videos, right? So I was going to give this as an exercise, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I want you each to write down for me 5 common mistakes that your clients normally make. 5 common mistakes. What are 5 common mistakes either your clients make or other electricians make? Maybe on a job that you've gone to, a job that you've seen. 5. I know that you'll be able to do it in quick time. If you can't get to 5, I'm at least expecting you to get to 1. Mistakes your clients tend to make, common mistakes homeowners make with electrics, common mistake landlords make, common mistake commercial properties, commercial people make, developers make, other electricians make. Maybe when they go to a client's house to do pat testing, what is one thing that they may tend to leave out or overlook? I'm not going to get you to write it down because of time, but when looking at those problems, right, if you were to say to yourself, could I speak about this in the sense of, or could I write something on this in the sense of what the mistake is, what you think they should have done differently, right? And based on what you would have done differently, what would be the result of you doing it differently? Would you be able to do that, yes or no, guys? Yeah, you would be able to. Because the fact that you're saying that it's a common mistake means that you know the right way to do it. If you've gone into a house and something has been wired incorrectly, and you know that it's wired incorrectly, it's because you know how to do it correctly. So you would be able to state what was done incorrectly, what you would have done instead, and why you would have done it that way instead. That's a story that you've just shared, yeah? I just wanted to do that for you to see how easily, and you did that in less than 5 minutes, how easily it is for you to just get that done, yeah? We already spoke about this. I think I skipped ahead a bit where I was saying testimonials are gold. Testimonials helps you as well to create your stories. Testimonials, absolutely gold. Customers trust peer reviews more than adverts. Trust me, know that. Because as far as they're concerned, you could have paid for that ad. I know some people are paying for reviews as well now as well, but people are most likely to go on Trustpilot and read the reviews, right? So this is just a quick tip on what some of the things that you could create. Daily work stories, helpful advice. You can take a picture of this as well, so it can help to prompt you. How to protect families, customer praise, why you do this. I think I mentioned that earlier. So your story, mistakes to avoid. We just mentioned that a while ago. And behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. What happens behind the scenes? Behind the scenes could even be preparation. What are some of the things that you bring for specific type of jobs? What is it that you do? How do you prepare? Right? Then we have the 3C rule. You want to keep the story clear, consistent, and customer focused. Every time you're creating a story, you want to say, what is the benefit of this story? Is it to build credibility? Is it to build authority? Is it to build trust? Is it to give them a call to action, a CTA at the end of it? Is it to direct them to my website? What is the purpose of what I'm doing, right? You don't want it to be technically jargon heavy because they ain't gonna understand it unless you're planning to, or unless the purpose of you doing that story or post was for you to explain it, to show yourself as an expert. Then yes. So just like when the gentleman was talking about earth, right? If you're gonna mention that, then you're wanting to position yourself as an authority by explaining it. So then they see that you know what you're talking about, right? You don't want it to be too self-congratulatory where you're feeling like you're puffed up, and you don't want it to be just random, right? Your signature tip. This is what you want to look at again because of time, but take a picture so you can get to do it at some point. Write down some of your safety tips. What are your safety tips? What are many of the safety tips that you go to? What are the common safety tips that you realize you're having to share over and over with your clients? Make it your signature content, right? Simple fix homeowners can check. Biggest safety risks, right? You want to be able to do these things. And I don't know if some of you do it, some of you may do it, some of you may not. Bring in some of these to estate agents. They're always dealing with people that are selling houses, and some of them don't even have EPCs. So what is the common mistakes that you see with EPCs? Drop it off at the estate agent on a little newsletter, right? Makes a difference. And the last one is keep it consistent. Trust isn't built, is it the last one? Take the last one. Trust isn't built in one post, it's built in repeated proof over time. Keep it consistent. Yeah? You want to keep it consistent. Consistency turns followers into booking, right? Got that? And remember I showed you this before about how you can navigate your posts. So you could say, okay, guess what? For this week, I'm gonna share 2 job stories. So 2 stories, 2 things that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share 2 job stories based on the jobs that I did this week. So I'm not saying that you have to share stories every single day. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to at least be putting 2 job stories in your post that what you're putting out. One could be a helpful advice, one could be based on a testimonial, or the other could be a behind the scenes story, which obviously I went through these with you earlier. And then it could be just rinse and repeat. And guys, you do know that you can reshare some of your stories. You know that, right? So don't treat your business like us females. We wear one dress to a wedding, and we say, oh no, I can't wear that dress again because they've already seen me wearing it to a wedding. When people don't even remember what it is that you wore. That's not the same with your stories. You can reuse them. You can use them over. Yeah? So remember, you're not just wiring buildings, you're wiring trust. Yeah? You're not just wiring buildings, you're wiring trust. Yeah? Yeah? And I'm winding up now, guys. Winding up, wiring, winding up. That works, isn't it? Right? So you really want to send them to the sale. So every story you want to have a CTA. You want to have a call to action. Because you're not just posting for posting's sake. You're posting because you're sending them somewhere. Right? You're sending them somewhere. You're sending them to a quote, a EICR, message for availability. No direction is no conversion. So you need to be directing them somewhere, right? So that's the whole purpose of your story. And obviously this is something that I do. Obviously, James, I can send this over to you so you can have it for anybody that's interested. We do storytelling prompt toolkit, so you can have your own toolkit. If you don't want to do it yourself, you maybe have a VA that is interested in getting this so that you can have them do it yourself. Or if it's a case where you're like, I don't have the time, I want to talk these stuff that is a story, and I want you to go away, Michelle, and create it for me. That's something else that we do. So it's about the story. So you can just take a picture of this because of time. And yeah, we've come to an end. So as we've come to an end, it's gone? Sorry. Yeah, you can take a picture of it. Yeah. But I'll make sure that I think James has my slides. So if you want, you can happily give the slides to the guys if they want to reuse.
We'll pin the post to the top. We'll pin that to the top of the Facebook group.
Okay, great. So, reviews. See, I was seeding that all the way through. My call to action. So, if you love me, as I loved you today, could you please go on and drop me a review? What you will also get with this, as I said, if you want to get something, you need to give something. What you will get a free online training of how to write your book and turn it into a powerful marketing tool if that's something that you're interested in doing at some point later on. And if anybody's interested in that, again, you can speak to James or Leela and they can direct you to myself. But please, I would love your honest review and feedback if you can. And that's all from me, guys. Thank you so much. Brilliant.
Cool, thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Let's have another round of applause.
Thank you.
Fantastic.